It was early morning in Ogunrinde Village, a peaceful settlement nestled at the edge of the lush green hills in Oyo State, Nigeria. The sun had just begun its ascent, casting a warm golden light across the village as the sound of chickens crowing and women chatting filled the air. Children, their bright school uniforms pressed and neat, eagerly gathered at the village square where they would wait for the school bus. In my youth, I would see them every morning, these children, so full of life, full of promise. But today was different. There was something in the air, something I couldn't place. It was as if the earth itself was holding its breath. Sadiq, the son of Amina, was among the children waiting for the bus that morning. He was 12, slender but strong for his age. He wore his blue shirt and grey shorts, the same as every other boy in the village school. His face, as always, was serious, his expression quiet. You could always tell that Sadiq was thoughtful, a boy of few words. His mother, Amina, a kind and devout woman, had raised him with love, but most of all, with faith. Every morning before he left for school, Amina would sit with him, holding his small hands in hers and whispering prayers in Yoruba. Olorun, protect my son today, keep him safe from harm, and return him to me. I had witnessed this daily ritual for years, and I had no doubt that Sadiq's safety was guaranteed through his mother's prayers. Amina's faith was unshakable, but little did we know that morning would test her faith in ways none of us could have imagined. The village's school bus, a large rusted yellow vehicle that had been in service for many years, arrived to pick up the children. The driver, Babatunde, a seasoned man with a heart of gold but too many years behind the wheel, often sped when he was running late, and today was no different. The bus rattled and screeched as it picked up the children, and I, sitting on my small bench by my hut, could hear the familiar sound of the engine in the distance. The road leading out of Ogunrinde was narrow with no guardrails and only the thick forest on either side to keep the children safe. That morning, as the bus traveled down the path, a cow wandered into the road. Babatunde slammed on the brakes, swerving the vehicle to avoid the animal, but the bus was going too fast. The tires skidded against the rough, uneven road, and the bus lurched violently before veering off the path. I watched, helpless, as the bus flipped onto its side with a loud crash, the screech of metal on stone echoing through the village. The children's screams filled the air, and I ran as fast as my old legs would carry me. The dust was thick, and the air smelled of burning rubber and spilled gasoline. The bus had crashed into a large tree, its wheels spinning helplessly in the air. Some of the children were scattered about, some with their bodies trapped beneath the wreckage. I could hear them crying out, their voices laced with pain and fear. There was no time to waste. The village sprang into action. We did not have an ambulance or a modern hospital nearby, but we had each other. Men rushed forward, lifting debris from the children, while the women ran to get clothes to stop the bleeding and comfort those who were most injured. Sadiq was one of the first I saw. His body had been thrown from his seat, and he was lying just a few feet from the wreckage. Blood dripped from his forehead and his clothes were torn. When I knelt beside him, I was relieved to see that he was still conscious. "Sadiq, are you all right?" I asked, my voice shaking with the tension of the moment. He groaned, blinking his eyes open slowly. "Uncle Ajayi, I don't know what happened." "You're going to be fine, my boy. Stay with me," I said, holding his hand. "Help is coming." At the same time, Amina had been at home, preparing food for the family, when she suddenly felt an overwhelming sense of fear. The hairs on the back of her neck stood up, and a deep unease settled in her chest. She had a habit, you see. Every morning, without fail, she would pray for her son's safety. But today, something told her that her prayers were more important than ever. She rushed to the road, not knowing why she was drawn there, but trusting her instincts. When she arrived at the site of the crash, the worst fears were confirmed. She saw the bus wreckage, the children in pain, and then she spotted Sadiq, alive, but barely. She ran to him, calling his name. "Sadiq! Sadiq!" she cried, her voice breaking. When she reached him, she fell to her knees beside him, her hands shaking as she took his face in her hands. "Thank God my son is alive," she whispered through tears. "Thank you, Olorun." Sadiq looked up at his mother, eyes filled with gratitude. "Mama, your prayers. I am alive because of you." But there was no time to linger. Amina quickly helped the villagers move Sadiq away from the wreckage. While we worked to transport the injured children to the nearest clinic, she stayed by his side, speaking softly to him, urging him to stay awake. The next few days were a blur. I remember the long trek to the clinic in Ibadan, a place that offered some semblance of medical care. It was hours away, and we did not have the luxury of an ambulance. The children, Titi, Adamu, Chinonso, and others, were in critical condition. Some had broken limbs, others concussions, and there were those who wouldn't make it through the night. But Sadiq was a miracle. His wounds were superficial, though he had cuts and bruises. His rib was cracked, but he was stable. It seemed as though he had been protected, his life preserved by some unseen force. Amina's faith had been tested, but it had proven true. The village was somber that evening. A funeral ceremony was held for Chinonso and Adamu, the two children who had died. It is the custom of our people to sing songs of remembrance for those who have passed, to remind them that their spirits live on through the memories of those who loved them. Sadiq, though physically healed, would carry the memory of the accident forever. He often spoke to the younger children of the village about the miracle of his survival. "You must always pray, always believe," he would say, "because you never know when the Creator will hear your call." Amina continued her prayers every morning, her faith unwavering. Sadiq grew stronger, both in body and spirit, and he became a symbol of hope in the village. When he was older, he would become a respected figure, a man who carried with him the lessons of love, faith, and the unbreakable bond between a mother and child. Years later, I still sit outside my hut in Ogunrinde Village, remembering that day, the day when Sadiq's life was spared. I tell the children who visit me about the power of faith, the strength of community, and how sometimes, just sometimes, a mother's love can work miracles. I will never forget that day, nor the lessons it taught us all.